Alright, crew, so today I'm going to also show you a way in which you can use the DMD um, to perform simultaneous stimulation while recording in some channel of interest across multiple XY positions. That is, you would go to an XY position, you would do a simultaneous stim and record, stim and acquisition, you'd move to the next XY, you'd move to the next XY, then you can wait some predetermined time and do another loop of that exact same sequence. And so, for example, this tutorial has Nitesh in mind because one might imagine that you might like to visit a variety of XY positions, stimulate to uncage calcium and see some network formation, do that in multiple places, then revisit those exact same places you were before and do another round of stim. And do that as many times as you want. You could look at how the time step matters, or the spacing between things. And of course, this could be useful for other people using the DMD for similar types of things. So to get started, we'll be using a sample here, which, let's see, where is the Y? So let's build a very simple starting stimulation thing. I'm just going to draw a circle here, and I'm going to assign this to 561 on the DMD. This is because there are many autofluorescent cyanobacteria in this pond sample that I'm looking at here, and those things light up very nicely when stimulated with light. And you can see, for example, this piece of dirt doesn't, but because these have chloroplasts, they're cyanobacteria, when we zap them, we get a huge signal. So what I did here, in terms of what you're seeing here, is I made a optical configuration that's bright field in the background. That is, we basically have solar light on. Constitutively, I have called this thing BF. But it also is set up for the stimulation. So the DMD mirror is on. So basically, I duplicated one of the DMD mirror configurations, switched the bright field light on, and that's what you're looking at here. So with this optical configuration, we see everything in the sample, and then when I hit stim, we stimulate the sample. Got it? Got it. Maybe I'll take the Optivar out, actually, in this case, to get accurate. Because I realized I was not doing that before. So, okay, so basically, yes, you can see that we're stimulating, and there's actually, the fluorescent signal is insane, which is why it's going a little bit out of the circle here. Okay, so if we have something like this, how can we visit a whole bunch of different locations and then loop over them? So previously I showed how you can, if you just want to visit a bunch of XY points and do stims, you can use this multi-point set acquisition. But that multi-point set acquisition does not give you an ability to also loop over time. And so to do that, we can use the more sophisticated, albeit a little bit more cumbersome, jobs, high-throughput jobs creation program here, which you can find under the jobs menu under Explorer. Oops, not Explorer, pardon me. Jobs, create new job. So when you hit create new job, it brings up this kind of wizard, which is sort of a graphical scripting interface that you can use to design fairly complex experiments. So these can be experiments where you iterate over you generate and iterate over points in a well. You can do different types of time series. You can do different types of autofocusing. You can even build if-then logic based on certain types of measurements you can make. It's very capable, but it's a little awkward to use. So what I'm going to do is demo how we can do something to basically do multiple instances of DMD stimulation at different XY positions and then loop over time. And since the most sort of external loop we're doing is in time, let's basically say we're going to do 5 temporal loops of DMD stimulation. And if we drag from the time series thing, the time loop thing over here, we can say how many loops we want and how much time to wait between loops. And so to make this not go forever, we're going to say wait 10 seconds between loops, but you could make that basically whatever you want. That's a programmable feature. So in this case, we're going to do 5 time loops, and we're going to wait 10 seconds between starting each loop. Okay, and then what do we want to do? We want to loop over x, y positions, right? We want to visit in each one of these time loops. We're going to visit an x, y position and then do something. So to set that up, we select stage x, y points. In this case, they're going to be points we defined. So for example, I'm going to put a point here, and let's find something else to look at. Another cyanobacteria right here. That's one. That there. And how about over here? So we'll have 3 XY positions here. So I can go here and see what the stim looks like. We'll make sure everything lights up. Yep, all those things light up. Okay, so we have these 3 points. So we have our time setup, our point setup, and now we can set up our stim. So if we scroll down into the stimulation panel here, you'll see there's an option here for simultaneous stim. And before we do that, we have to add, so we have these points, but we have to say loop over these points. So for each one of these points, do the following, and then we want to drag. It's important that we drag this thing into the box here, because this is saying for each one of these points, do this ND stim. And then we can expand this and choose an optical configuration. So in this case, we choose the Prime 95 DMD BF here, which is what we're on right now. And then what I was going to do for this was a 5-second acquisition in which we wait 1 second, stim for 2, and then record the remaining 2 seconds. And so with this setup, let's just make sure the logic makes sense. Basically, we're going to do this. We're going to stimulate each one of these XY positions according to this, and we're going to do that 5 separate times with a, let's make it 30 seconds in between, just so it can feel a little bit more real. So I think that this should be set up correctly. We'll see if I did it. And to run your job, you hit the play button. It'll ask you to give the job a name, and so we can call this test time and XY DMD stim, or whatever, test time and XY DMD simultaneous stim. Okay, so let's see. It's gonna give us a basically it's gonna visit each one of these points. Then we see the light come on, and then it turns it off. Then it's gonna visit the next point, turn the light on, turn it off, visit the next point, turn the light on. Oh, whoops, we did only 3 points. So now we're at the stage where it's going to wait 30 seconds before implementing the next loop. And so it's going to wait 20 more seconds. So basically, while it's doing that, I can just kind of go over that it's showing you the hierarchy of the experiment it's building. So 5 time loops, 3 XY loops, and then each one of them gets this DMD stim, which the way we set it up is 148. So now it's going to visit that point again, do the stim again. Now it's going to visit the next XY position, do the stim, and finally visit the last one and do the stim. All right, and I'm not going to do all 5, but I'll let it do just one more. Just trying to think if there's anything I can explain about how to set this up while we wait. Mostly it's just another matter of getting all your optical configurations set up and then making sure that when you use the jobs manager, you've nested those things in the correct order. It's easy to, for example, accidentally get your loops out of whack here. Okay, so now we'll do this final third one, visit that location, do the stim. visit a second location, image 1 second, stim, final imaging, and last but not least, visit there, stim, and go back. And it would do this 2 more times, and of course you could set it up, you could have it do hundreds of loops over this, you could have the acquisitions be more complex than this, but we'll just stop here. So if I hit finish, then it brings up immediately a folder, and these jobs go into this jobs database. We can change where that is because they don't need to belong to Maggie. But what you'll see is in this folder now, if I view the details and stretch this out, you'll see that each of there's a total of 12 files in, or 9 files in here, excuse me. And these are associated with the simultaneous stims at the first time loop for the 3 points we visited, next time loops, and so on and so forth. So if we open one of these, what we'll see, and here is the experiment we did, basically. So we can run, and then boom, see it there, and off it goes. And I believe, okay, it's, for some reason it's not showing us the location of this, the stim. I thought it would, but anyways, this is how that's one of them, and we can, for example, look at how it behaved. Oops, wrong location. The same one. What you will notice is that the time axis has been updated, so it knows that this, it's telling us, you know, this is our stim at now 52 seconds into the experiment. And then finally, the third one here. So there, boom, stim, whatever. And as we discussed, there's one of these for each of the XY positions we did. And so using this, it's possible to automate you could select a bunch of XY positions, set up a stimulation protocol, and then repeatedly stimulate those locations over and over and over again with whatever time spacing and stimulation protocol that you want. And so I made this tutorial specifically with the idea in mind that Nitesh's uncaging experiments might be a nice one where he'd like to visit a bunch of points, uncage with a particular protocol, and then revisit those exact locations and stimulate again, where the time between might affect. Some of you might remember from his lab meeting, he did this experiment sort of by hand, and now using this, he could simply set up the XY positions, the time steps, hit play, walk away, and generate a ton of data. And that's the point of the jobs manager, and so hopefully this will be helpful not only for Nitesh, but for all of you who are thinking about how to use the DMD mirror. And with that, I will stop the video. See you guys later.